Viewer discretion is advised.
So basically the gist of it is this. When we watched the reveal afterwards, of course, the packages went live. And so me having my store being South African, because I am South African.
Okay.
I was very, very happy with what I saw in terms of like from a pricing perspective, because the prices here were not directly multiplied by US dollar. It was a regional pricing model was being applied here, meaning like they were taking the US dollar and they were giving some form of like a discount or something like on that based on the fact that it was in South Africa. Now, this is very important for a couple of different reasons, but the main reason really being that different countries with different specs on economics and all that stuff have different levels of disposable income. Okay, so a $50 game in, for example, the States does not mean the same thing to someone in Brazil, does not mean the same thing to someone in South Africa, and so on. So again, just to set the stage, the prices were $270. This is in Rand, by the way, which is a South African currency. So it was $270, $499, and $829. So let me just quickly show you what it looks like right now. So now you can see that it's $543, $1086, and $1811. I apologize if you can't read that well with the writings that small. I'm wearing my good contact lenses tonight, but you're just gonna have to trust me on this. But yes, it's basically more than double. Okay, why does this matter? Why is this a fucking problem? So to explain that to you, I have to do a very uncomfortable thing, and I have to explain to you what the minimum fucking wage is of someone in South Africa.
Welcome to hell, bitch.
Your average Joe, right? So your average Joe in South Africa makes 27.59 fucking Rand an hour. That's our local currency. That's our, our way. So to explain to you what that is in dollar, 27.58 or 59, whatever fucking Rand is $1.5 an hour. That's the minimum wage. In comparison, the minimum wage in the States, I believe, is 7.25 based on some limited research that I did. Again, to put it into comparison for you, if we look at something like fucking Pizza Hut, okay, which you should absolutely not be eating. There are better pizzas out there in the fucking world.
Fuck you!
A creamy chicken or a chicken and mushroom pizza, right, is 140 fucking Rand. So yes, that is correct. That means that you'd have to work for 5 fucking hours to be able to afford one of these succulent pizzas. Let me go back to this point here quickly, right? And maybe, is there a fucking way for me to zoom in on this shit? I don't care about the 1,000 and the 1,800, okay? Because this is have mores, right? You don't need to buy this shit. There's a bunch of cosmetics and stuff like that that's tied up into this and everything like that. You don't need this. So let's only talk about the 544 Rand one, right? For me, and it's been a couple of years since I've been back in South Africa, but at least from a perspective of staying there full time. And 544 Rand, right? If you multiply that by 3, that is what it used to cost me for groceries for the entire month. And I mean, let's be honest, that was mostly like corned beef, a lot of beef jerky, some beans, and a whole lot of booze. But the point is, the thing that upsets me about this the most, right, is the fact that I think that there's an opportunity here that GGG, that Grinding Games had, that they could have differentiated themselves from the likes of the Blizzards and so on in the world. Because what they could have done is they could have applied the regional, pricing model and opened up the game to a bigger audience of people that could experience it. I think the problem is that a lot of people associate the fact, remember, this is early access. A lot of people who aren't informed and who don't know the value that a game like Path of Exile 2 brings will look at the early access part of it and say, but my fuck, why would I buy something that's early access that costs this much if I'm already playing Diablo, if I'm playing something else, right? And the pricing, might be prohibitive in that way. I do believe that there's a mistake being made here, because this could open up them to a wider audience of people that might take the chance to play the game. I myself, and I'm sure that many of you that are watching this right now, you understand that you're getting a lot for that fucking money, right? The early access of Path of Exile 2 is more loaded with content than most fucking full release games are after having DLC packs added to them. But the average person doesn't know that. And this pricing model is excessive for this market. To close this out, actually what I want to do is I want to let someone who's just far more fucking articulate than me just explain the benefit.
Economics. You either can't afford a game, so you pirate it, or you can't get the game because you don't have access to it. So let's take Brazil, for example. Brazilians in my chat, rise up. I love you guys. Brazil has a very big problem with piracy, but it's not because they're jerks. Brazil has a problem with piracy because economically it doesn't make sense to buy games in Brazil. They're usually dramatically expensive. So the way that I fixed this for Heartbound, we had a very large Brazilian population of people who liked the demo. They absolutely loved it, and they couldn't buy the game because it was too expensive. So I did this. See this right here? Heartbound is 60% off.
So I want to draw your attention to something here. You can see South African Rand right underneath there, right? The same thing. So what he's talking about is 60% reduction on the price for his game in Brazil. He was doing this for South Africa as well. So this is across the board. Again, I can only speak for South Africa, but all of these other countries are affected. And you can go to the games forum and fucking social media and Twitter and everything like that, and you'll see people popping off about this because it's affecting all of them.
Off in Brazil. It's 20 BRL, and I will never change the price for the Brazilian people. At 60% off, it's only $4 out of a $10 game. By making this affordable for the people of Brazil and localizing the game into Brazilian Portuguese, it is 25% of our studio's income via game sales.
And I think that's really the point. I honestly, I feel that's the best way to end off on this whole fucking, situation. I think whoever was going to buy it, they're going to buy it regardless. I don't think that there's a chance that, if you already had your heart set on Path of Exile 2, you're still going to get it. But as a South African, I find it disappointing that they had this regional pricing model in place for X amount of hours and then fucking pulled it. If it was a mistake from them to launch it in the first place like this, then I guess I would like to understand why they wouldn't go with regional pricing. And if it's a case of this being forced onto them by Steam or something like that, which I don't really believe is an issue, then it's weird to me that in all of my research that I've been doing today and the day before, I haven't found an official response from them yet on this. And it kind of seems like this is just one of those things that they just want to, fucking sweep under the rug and get it to go away. But yeah, I think it's a big mistake. I think the game's going to be a success regardless, and power to them for that. But this could have been that one time where they could have differentiated themselves, at least in this perspective, right? From a financial perspective and from the cost of entry, from a studio and from a fucking, a group of people that they so commonly get associated with, Activision, Blizzard, and of course Diablo. They could have done it so easily, and there's just no response. There's nothing.